to Narrowboat Vloggl. This week we're rounding up the best bits from recent Narrowboat vlogs. In Holly, the Café boat, Joe is busy in the kitchen making cakes.
It's good, like vanilla sponge with sprinkles. A real simple cake.
It's a bit lumpy. It's like not coming together as well. Never give up hope.
That looks really good.
Smooth as you like. Don't over mix it.
I've not done this recipe before then.
No. It's a new one. We'll see what happens. We're doubling the recipe because they sold out last week. Delicious.
Holy Moses. I hope nobody buys these. What do you think about that?
I think they're really good. Now we just leave them to cool. And then I'm going to reset and then do the vegan lemon cake.
Okay, blimey. Big day at the factory today.
Big day, big day.
Yeah, alright.
Can I get hot chocolate, please?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we don't have any hot chocolate.
No,
We've run out of hot
that's
chocolate.
I know. Can you believe it?
We're on the move talk about what it means to be a continuous cruiser. They share their tips for making life easier if you're looking at moving onto a boat.
So for those of you who don't know, what is a continuous cruiser?
A continuous cruiser, now that you've asked the question, Julie, a continuous cruiser is somebody who doesn't have a home mooring or a marina mooring. There's two types of mooring. There's home moorings and leisure moorings. And a continuous cruiser doesn't have either of those. They register with the Canal and River Trust as continuous cruisers, and they continuously cruise the network.
One really good tip we can honestly recommend is the What 3 Words app. Definitely worth getting that on your phone, because if you are ill or you have a fall and you need somebody, an emergency service, to get to you urgently, you can give them the 3 words and they will pinpoint your location.
To within how many, is it a metre or?
I don't know.
A couple of metres?
It's
super accurate.
very accurate.
Yeah.
So our top tip number 2.
You need a plank. And you need a long plank.
On some canals.
Yeah. I mean, not every canal. The canal that we're on at the moment, the Kennet and Avon Canal, boy, do you need a long plank.
Yeah.
You need a minimum of about 8 foot. Sometimes 10. I've even seen 12.
Yeah.
The other thing you need as well is if you've got, for example, pets like dogs that might be elderly, give them a bit of a break and get 2 planks. Top tip number 3
is think about travel and car. So if you've got a car, think about where your next mooring is going to be, that you've got easy access for your car and it's safe and secure to park it wherever you're going to be parking it. If you don't have a car, then think about where's the next train station, where's the bus route, you know, is it accessible for somebody to get to you if they need to.
Narrowboat life unlocked, head out of the marina and set off down the Leeds and Liverpool Canal.
Well, it was time to leave the marina. After 5 months, we said goodbye to our friends, we filled up with fuel and we headed out of the marina. It felt so good to be out, and the sun was out, the breeze on our faces. It was just amazing cruising down the canal after 5 months of being in the marina.
Can't believe we're out.
I know, it's really sad though, isn't it?
Yeah.
We made some real nice friends. Talking of which, we've got some friends helping us with the first set of locks.
It's usually Anthony at the tiller and me operating the lock, so it's so good to see them from this angle, and I'm always impressed with the size of some of these locks. In fact, Martin and Mandela stayed on a lot longer than we thought. I think they're enjoying being out and the sunshine and the fresh air. We really did appreciate all this help. We soon made it to the final lock of the day, which is Latham Lock, and this is Junction Bridge.
Dozy and Dim Adventures share part 2 of their boat buying series, and this week they talk toilets and beds.
Toilets are a huge talking point on narrowboats. There are cassette toilets, macerating toilets. There are toilets that go into a big tank that you have to pay to have emptied, and there are compost toilets. The preference is totally down to you. It's whatever you prefer. Everybody wants a good night's sleep on a boat, so when you're viewing a boat, take a look at the bed. Now don't forget, if it's not to your taste, you can change it about a bit, you can change the mattress, but be aware, boats are a bit like Tetris. If you start ripping out a bed, before you know it, you've got to do the wall next to it, which means you've got to do the room next to it, la-di-la-di-da, and so on.
Barely floating, breakdown crossing the Ribble Link.
We left you last time. We were setting off from Tarleton Sealock here. We were doing the River Douglas, the River Ribble, Savick Brook, and then all the way up to Lancaster Canal. That didn't happen. We ran aground somewhere around here. From the moment we lost engine power, Laura headed for shore. We didn't get a chance to chuck out the anchor, as Debbie had gone to powder her nose. It was a gentle grounding, and within 10 minutes we were completely out of the water. As you can see, once the water had gone, we were left on a ledge. 6 foot further to the middle of the river, it drops 8 to 10 foot. You can see the piles of rocks on the other side. The RNLI checked up on us and said they'd come back with the big boat at the next high tide. And bang on high tide, they turned up. There was a bit of drama refloating Laura. They hadn't quite managed to tie her on. Once she lifted off, she set off, spinning like a top. They got her under control, and we sat behind the lifeboat till the tide was beginning to turn. Then, dodging the odd tree, we slowly made our way towards Preston Dock.
Slow boat through Britain moves from Brighouse to Elland and learns about some ghostly goings on.
Well, having spent a couple of weeks here in Brighouse, it's time to move on.
This lock has normal paddle gear with a windlass, rather than the handspike as seen in my last vlog, that just a single turn causes the boat to move about dramatically. You can never tell the reaction, so it's always best to take it steady. And another gongoozler asking to help out and learn about the canals. He was sure I wouldn't be able to get out with only one gate open. He's going to close it behind me anyway. The channel to port here just before the bridge at one time led via a lock onto the River Calder and a route from 1770 called Taggart Cut. Taggart Cut bypassed a meander and shallows in the river. It was subject to flooding and was replaced by the current section in 1808, which is about 5 metres higher than the river level. Local legend says that Taggart Cut is haunted by a headless ghost called Tag, who drives a carriage pulled by a 2-headed horse along the route. I must admit, I never saw them. Fortunately, the bottom gates are open at Brookfoot Lock, and I can steer straight in.
Yet another canal adventure. Embark on a mini epic adventure.
Why is this a mini epic journey, you ask? Well, we have a boat full of Mark's family today, his younger sister and her sons, which this time includes Mark's nephews numbers 2, 3 and 5. We've even got Mark's mum and dad here with us too.
It is mid-morning on the 15th of September 2019. Some crew have already gone ahead with Paul to prepare the lock. I'm at the tiller and nephew number 3 is with me here on the stern deck. It's his first time on a canal boat. We're heading back towards Marsworth and we'll be going through the only staircase locks on the Grand Union Canal's main line. That's at Stirrups End, where there is an active wasp's nest in the lower lock chamber wall.
So keep watching to find out if Mark gets stung by a wasp.
Although he can swim perfectly well, nephew number 5 can be seen here wearing this season's fashionable life preserver. It comes in one colour, bright orange, and is very buoyant. We've made him wear it. It's his first time that he's been with us on a journey where we've got a lot of locks to get through. He's also waving a windlass around his head. I must buy a crash helmet to add to the safety gear.
Being September, there are plenty of blackberries in the hedgerow along the towpath side of the canal. A suitable container is soon found from the kitchen cupboard and the picking commences. I give helpful guidance about the picking of hedgerow fruits.
Don't get to pick the ones high up.
Nephew number 5 helps wind the ground paddle. Nephew number 2 is struggling with opening the lock gate. Paul crosses over to help him. Somebody didn't have their shredded wheat this morning. We have a conversation about the water levels in the staircase locks. The upper lock should be full of water and the lower one that I'm entering now is of course empty. The water from the upper lock then fills this lower lock, creating a level of water that will enable me to move into the upper lock chamber. However, Paul had spotted that there is water flowing over the very top lock gates, so he has only partially filled the upper lock.
Chris and Shell share 15 things that they deem essential for a trip out on their narrowboat.
Today we're going to talk about things to take on a narrowboat holiday. We've noticed a few posts on the narrowboat forums on Facebook about people talking about their upcoming holidays that they've booked.
Probably the most important thing, walkie-talkies. A really good bit of kit. Especially Chris is on the back, steering, I'm on the front, and you're going round a corner or you go into a tunnel, you can kind of do your walkie-talkie thing and give warning of anything coming ahead. Tell them to slow down or whatever.
And at locks as well.
Yeah.
You can like walk ahead to the locks, can't you? And I can get an idea of whether I'm alright going straight in or whether I need to slow down or whether I need to pull over. On my boat keys is my sharp knife. And 2 have a really good knife, so if you do get anything stuck around the prop and you do get into trouble, it's a lot easier just to cut everything away than trying to unwind it. So yeah, sharp knife, essential bit of kit. So number 3 on the list is head torch.
Yes, so when you're more up, normally it's in the middle of nowhere with no street lighting or light pollution, so it can get very dark. So yeah, always have one of these.
Filmed back in December 2020, minimalists travel up the Wolverhampton flight of 21 locks from the Staffordshire and Worcester Canal to the main line of the Birmingham Canal.
It's less than half a mile from Authorley Junction, where we moored last night, to Aldersley Junction, where we'll leave the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal and join the Birmingham main line, which is part of the BCN. All of these locks are fitted with anti-vandal devices, so you'll need a key to unlock them. Going up narrow locks like these, we usually get into a routine where once the boat is high enough in the chamber, Michael will get off to open the paddles on the offside. This saves me an extra trip across the wet, slippy lock gates, which is nice as not many of these locks have bridges across them. Michael will then drop the paddle again once the gate is open, which leaves me with just the towpath side to deal with. This only works where there are single top lock gates, of course, and assuming that the balance beams are all on the towpath side. These locks are raising us up 132 feet to the centre of Wolverhampton, about a mile and a half away. At the moment they're a little bit too far apart for it to make sense for us to walk ahead and set them in advance, but after lock 16 they get slightly closer together. We're about to pass under the Oxley Railway Viaduct, which was built in 1847. You can see that the arch we're passing under was built at a skew so as not to restrict the width of the canal. I walk ahead to lock 4 and meet a CRT employee who's helping to bring a workboat and barge down the flight. When we both arrive, the lock is just over half full, so it makes sense for them to use it first. Plus he seems to be in quite a rush as they were delayed filling the empty pound further up. Thanks to them, we won't have the hassle of refilling it now. I radio down to Michael to let him know what's happening, and he leaves the gate open on his lock ready for the CRT boat.
Narrowboat Girl is on the move as their boat is booked in for blacking.
So our plan for this cruise is we're going to Sutton Cheney because we need to get rid of some bins before we get our blacking done, and then after we fill up on water and get rid of the bins, we're planning on turning around and then sort of mooring sort of outside the marina, ready for blacking. As we're cruising right now, it's actually raining, which the weather forecast didn't say until we kind of left. So hopefully it won't last for too long because it is very windy and cold, and rain and wind does not go well together because that just means I'll freeze to death. but we're going to go for a little while just till we get to find a mooring and everything. So this is Trinity Marina. We've actually been here a few times to get some coal and kindling, and they were really helpful. So here's the place that we're actually going to be getting our blacking done from. We're actually going to be going past this because we need to get some bins emptied at Sutton Cheney, but we're going to be coming back here.
Helen and Jock from Australia have bought a narrowboat.
Hello, I'm Jock.
Hello, I'm Helen with 2 L's.
Narrowboating with Mr Rollo. We'll mostly explain that a lot more in videos to come. Right now though, we're stationed here in Australia because of COVID. So what's this interest in narrowboating? It all started maybe 30 years ago when we were living in Christchurch, New Zealand, and I read an article in the Diners magazine, Diners Card, called Signature, and it was a New Zealand journalist who was sent to England from New Zealand to go on one of these hire boats and write an article on narrowboating. I'd never heard of it until I read this article. And when I read that article, one day we're going to do that. We're going to go to England and we're going to hire a narrowboat.
And so he came home and he told me all about it. And then we did go to England. We did hire a narrowboat, and I can tell you, I'd far rather do that than go on a fishing boat. We've had so many fishing boats over the years, and they mostly stay in the backyard because I always think of the big things that are in the water that eat you. So I'm not very keen on fishing, and I love the safety and the slow and I just love narrowboats.
Eric Ellman is the newly elected running mayor of London Canals. He takes us on a run along the Regent Canal.
My name's Eric. I live on a canal boat in London. I've just been named the running canal mayor by a group called Run Some, which is trying to get the City of London to recognize running as a means of transportation and to make accommodations. One of the problems of living on a canal boat is they're so cozy inside, sometimes you forget to go out. It's 4 o'clock. I got about an hour and a half of sunlight, and I'm gonna go run. I'm gonna run to the post office. This is my twice weekly mail run. Let's see what kind of day it is outside, and it is a beautiful, sunny day. Sunny by London standards, that means it's not raining. Spot they call Lissom Grove, private moorings in the center of London. This is where some accident of canal development happened, and they decided, nope, we're not going that way, we're going this way. Down here where the ambassadors live, on Regent's Canal now. The roads are older than the canals, so wherever they put a canal through, they had to build these bridges. Similar architecture, similar styles, similar scarring, if you can believe this. This is from 100 years of ropes when horses pulled these boats down from the north of England and the Midlands to bring coal to London. Ropes, and that was iron. That was iron because the brick would have just dissolved from the friction of the ropes connecting the horses to the boats they were pulling. Hard to wrap your mind around.
Join us next week for another Narrowboat Vloggl.